Last night, like I say, was a good space with the brother up there in Colorado. So peace of that, brother. And hope everything goes well with him. Tomorrow night, we also have, like I was telling, we also have the Q&A with Gabe Piedmont. So that should be pretty interesting as well. To be interesting to hear everybody come up in the space. We're gonna do a Q&A with him as well. So we'll see exactly how that go. Professor, what's going on? How you doing tonight?
Yeah, what's up, brothers? How y'all doing? Ray, man, what's going on? DJ, Sister Tony down there, Sister I Am Reva. Good to see everybody in the space, and all the ones I haven't named. Everybody, I hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, what's up, man? This once again told him, man, you outdo yourself, brother, with these spaces, man. I'm trying to tell you, man, you bringing it.
Yeah, and Professor, I'm gonna touch up on that tonight because it was brought to my attention yesterday that somebody sitting up here talking about that I've been taking ideas that they gave me ideas to do spaces, and I never gave them the proper credit and due. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna touch up on that a little bit later on too, because we got this dude that sits up in his spaces hating all the time, talking shit, sitting up here talking about that somebody that I've never DM'd, somebody that's never DM'd me, somebody that I've never text, somebody that's never emailed me, called me, never had a post that we even communicated, and sitting up here talking about that I take content, I took ideas from him and never gave him credit for them. Sitting up in his little ass spaces, running his mouth, always hating. So yeah, I'm gonna touch up on that a little bit later on too.
Yeah, please do call. That dude, man, when I first went into a space with him, that's all he ever did in his space that I went into was complain and just dog people out, hate on women. I mean, we talking about a brother that be chasing down women and dogging women out, calling them hoes and bees, and that's this type of guy, y'all. And I'm talking about Mr. African Bambaataa.
Yeah, and my thing is this here, Professor. If anybody's been to Newstoter.com, you're talking about a curation platform. First, and before we get into the subject matter tonight, you're talking about, and I don't just say this, the largest black-owned curation platform. You're talking about a site. I mean, these topics are coming straight off of the actual website. So, like I say, go ahead and show me any contact that we had. Okay? I got sources from black-owned news sites, black-owned newspapers, black bloggers, and everything else. Why the hell would I need to go into you? Today, over 40 some odd tweets was put out here on Twitter. So why would I need to go to you? Never had any contact with you, and you sitting up here running your mouth. This is the kind of hate that we talk about. Our people always talk about how we gonna stick together and do this and do that. You can't stick together when you got people sitting up here just coming up with nonsense. Somebody I've never had a conversation with gonna sit up here and talk about I had to get ideas from them to run a space. Mind you, Newstoter has been around. This May will be 6 years. On Twitter, if you go to the profile page, it's over 95,000 tweets that I put out since 2017. So I don't need to borrow content. I don't need to get ideas from anybody. So, I mean, you can go ahead and go on with that nonsense. Straight up.
Hey, man, this brother that we talking about, y'all, is one of the most hateful, fat motherfuckers in these spaces. And I'm just telling you, this is all he does. That's why I left his spaces. I used to go to his spaces. And I couldn't stand it, man. I can't stand hearing a brother sit up and dog women out. And so I'm telling y'all, family, the best space to come to since I've been coming to these spaces right here, where we at right now with Brother Newstoter, Ray, and DJ. These are the three brothers that are like-minded like me. We talk about business. You know what I'm saying? We talk about business, and we support our women. You know, we ain't going to be up in these spaces calling them women hoes and bees, okay? But that's what this other fat motherfucker does. Excuse my French, Newstoter. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. Normally I say chill, but now you're right. Like this dude is selling out right here, boy. Like, I mean, this is the power of being on Twitter, being behind a screen, talking noise, sitting up here halfway across the country, talking noise. Half of the stuff these people be popping off in these spaces, if they was face to face with the other person, they'd be as quiet as a field mouse, sitting up here running off at the mouth, like you said, going to the DMs and whatnot, selling out, talking noise and talking all kind of shit. Normally, like I say, I just try to keep it on the content. But damn, that thing bothered me when I heard that, talking about stealing, taking your ideas. Man, please.
I promise you, bro, I wouldn't worry about it. Like I said, at the end of the day, man, if you got to go that low, that means he's probably trying to start like a little beef or whatever to drag you into it and bring himself more clicks. I don't know about you, I wouldn't worry about it.
That's what DJ said, that you got people just looking to get content and create a beef so they can have something going and create these rooms and stuff like that. Y'all right.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say no names, but there was a time where you had a space and I was co-hosting and stuff, and then it got kind of out of hand, and someone would have made a space immediately after that accusing you of setting them up, and I'm like, I know that's not the truth at all, but I'll leave it alone.
Yeah, real talk. Let me go ahead, man, and not even think about a bunch of lames on the app that run their mouth like little school girls, third grade girls and stuff like that, sitting up here talking about manhood, and we know the first damn thing about manhood. Let me go ahead and get on the actual content and not give these lames and these magpies any more energy than what's needed. But I just found that funny that somebody I've never ever spoken to, never had any contact with, never DM me, never emailed me, never called me, never was in the same post with me tagged, gonna sit up here and say that they gave me ideas for spaces. Please, nigga, please.
Yeah, and look, what Ray and DJ are saying, yes, we just need to leave that alone, because see, what's going to happen is it'll just keep going on. That particular person will keep this shit going on, or somebody will go over there and tell them what's being said over here in this space, and then it'll just be drama all over the shit. So to keep Newstoter space the way it's supposed to be, where it's always just about our family and information, yeah, let's just don't worry about shit. That fat motherfucker, he gonna fall off the face of the earth anyway. There you go, Humpty Dumpty. Fell off the wall.
Real talk. Let me go ahead, y'all, and I want to go ahead and touch up on the Ed Reed, and I want to touch up on Tyre Nichols first, and we also want to get into Turkey leg cut as well too. So y'all give me a second just to kind of get cool back down for a second here, because like I say, I thought about that today, and I really want to just go in, but I'm like, it really ain't worth it. Like, we trying to do stuff over here, and we ain't got time for all this nonsense. And if we was on the street, I'd be quick to say, shoot me a head up, bro. Straight up. Forget all that talking that you talking about. Let's get it. I mean, but I done got too old for that even. So, DJ, what's up, man?
Hey, no, I had the same issues last night, bro. You know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, you see me when you see me now. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, bro, don't even worry about these trolls, because the real narrative is, and getting the Jumbotron too, y'all know what it is. They can't create their own wave, bro. That's just what it is. So, you know, jokers like content. People, you know, take other people's shit. We see that all the time with the Tether gang, you know, always taking black Americans, people, you know, dance moves, rap styles, entertainment, you know, whatever it be. You know what I mean? So we don't never have to get a chance to have anything on our own. And then, you know, when you try to actually tell your people, hey, look, come over here, let's work together. Nah, they want to just go on and work by themselves. And when they fail, and this is why you got jokers, like you saying, you know, Professor, you know, just want to disrespect the females because they ain't got shit else to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I talk about, hey, Kevin Samuels right, and I got females in my chat. So you see the difference? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, real talk, man. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna start with this actual the first article I want to start with is on from Atlanta Black Star, and it's about the incident in Memphis, the unfortunate death of Tyre Nichols. It's also up in the Jumbotron. It says he was a human pinata. Video of Tyre Nichols' deadly police beating revealed in private release compared to Rodney King. The family of a Memphis man who died after a traffic stop saw the video showing the final moments of his life 2 weeks after his death. Memphis police shared body cam footage with Tyre Nichols' family and attorneys in a private viewing on Monday. They murdered him, Tyre Nichols' mother, Rovon Wells, said. Members of Nichols' family were joined by attorneys Ben Crump and Antonio Romanucci for a news conference moments after seeing a video of the 29-year-old's deadly police encounter. What I saw in the video today was horrific. No father or mother should have to witness what I witnessed today, Tyre Nichols' stepfather, Rodney Wells, said. While attorneys and Nichols' family did not reveal graphic details of the video, Crump said Nichols could be heard calling for his mom 3 times before the police encounter ended. He also compared the incident to the 1991 beating of Rodney King in California. It's not the race of the police officers that is the determining factor of the amount of excessive force that will be exerted. It is the race of the citizen, Crump said. All my son was trying to do was get home. He was 2 minutes away when they stopped him, said Roe Von Wells. Rodney Wells also disputed the claim his son had drugs or a weapon when he encountered police. Our son ran because he was scared for his life. When you see the video, you'll see why he was scared for his life, and he was trying to get home to his mother and father, Wells said. 5 Memphis police officers were fired on January 20 after an internal investigation found culpability in the death of Nichols. He was a human pinata for those police officers, Romanucci said. Police said Nichols was involved in a traffic stop on January 7 around 8:30 p.m. Nichols was reportedly pulled over for reckless driving. The officers approached Nichols' vehicle and a confrontation occurred. Nichols then fled the traffic stop on foot before the officers followed him, leading to a second confrontation prior to finally apprehending him. Police did not reveal specifics on what the confrontation entailed. After being detailed, Nichols complained of having shortness of breath. He was then taken to the hospital by ambulance where he was listed in critical condition. Nichols died on January 10th. A viral photo of him laying in a hospital bed with a bruised and swollen face showed the aftermath of his encounter with police. Crump said there is no official cause of death at this time, but an independent autopsy is underway to reveal how Nichols died. Crump said local authorities plan to release the video of Nichols' police encounter within 1 to 2 weeks. The fired officers are Taddeus Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith. The officers violated multiple department policies, including excessive force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid, the department said in a statement. Since Nichols' death, his family has demanded transparency for the Memphis Police Department in protests and memorial services. While no lawsuits have been filed at this time, Romanucci said a federal civil rights lawsuit will be filed soon for Nichols' death. My son was a good boy. He liked to skateboard, Roe Von Wells said of her son. He didn't deserve what he got. Now he deserves justice, Rodney Wells said. Nichols' death has shaken the Memphis community as activists, community leaders, and the local skateboarding community reacted. Memphis-based skateboarders skated outside the city hall as Nichols' family watched the video footage. A Twitter user made the unconfirmed claim that local businesses are buying unrest insurance as the community awaits the public release of the video. Police brutality is unacceptable no matter who is a victim and no matter who the officers are. So I'm so happy they acted decisively and quickly, and I hope they send a strong message that police brutality is unacceptable, said Tennessee State Senator Ramesh Akarbi. So that's for our first article that we want to touch up real quick, y'all. We're going to go get back to that. I just want to touch up on these articles real quick, and then we can go ahead and dig in. The next one is from Black Enterprise. It's about the Bethune-Cookman situation that's going on. As you can see, it started with Ed Reed being fired for making some comments about the actual state of affairs or how the actual campus was looking, and then it went from there to now you got students actually protesting. The students have been talking about the actual condition with mold and everything else found up in the actual dormitories. We've also had that same issue up here at FAMU as well, too. So it seems like the HBCUs have a little bit of explaining that they need to do. But let me touch up on that real quick. That article is also in the Jumbotron. It says Bethune-Cookman students protest campus conditions and demand Ed Reed return as football coach. The decision to ditch NFL Hall of Famer Ed Reed as the next football coach at Bethune-Cookman University has caused an uproar that has morphed into more chaos at the HBCU. Now students are protesting the conditions of the campus after Reed brought them to light in a viral rant he posted on his social media account before getting his job rescinded. Next time, Ed, make sure you go ahead and sign the contract. So if you do get fired, you got a guaranteed buyout. And you don't have to worry about you at least get your money, at least have your foot in the door. According to the Daytona Beach News Journal, students at Bethune-Cookman University are upset that the administrators cut off the contract negotiations with Reed. So they took to the streets to protest campus living condition. One student, freshman Kettler David, commented on the protest for better ground conditions. It was a push for students to use their voice, he said, according to the outlet. Another freshman, James Rocker, didn't like how Reed initially handled the situation, but also felt it was needed so the outside world would know what was needed on campus. He was wrong for going on live and saying what he said in the manner he said it, but at the same time, he was right because the stuff he said was going on and needed to be shown. What's really going on at the school, the News Journal reported. On Monday, the students marched from noon until approximately 2 p.m. Students were shouting, "The Board of Trustees got to go." Students also mentioned that there is mold in their dorm rooms and some have no hot water or air conditioning as well. They stated that the school's administration ignores the issues afflicting them. The school is still cleaning up damage from 2 hurricanes that took place last fall. Players from the football team were also enforced to show support and make it known they wanted Reed back at the helm. Reed initially brought the conditions to light when he posted a telling video, which he later apologized for posting, that showed the disorder the campus was. "I'm walking out here with the football team picking up trash. I should leave. I'm not even under contract yet. These MFs didn't even clean my office when I got here." Days after posting the apology, the school decided not to hire Reed. The HBCU released a statement saying that Reed will not be hired as a team's coach. Bethune-Cookman University has announced that it has decided not to proceed with contract negotiations with Ed Reed to become the next head football coach at BC, Bethune-Cookman. The decision inspired students to start a petition to urge the school to go back to the negotiating table with the former Baltimore Ravens player. And let us kick it real quick on our last article. This is about Turkey Leg Hunt, the actual restaurant in Houston. This is from the Defender Network. This is also in the Jumbotron, also curated on the Newstoter.com platform. Those articles are on the far right, the first 3 on the far right. Okay, it says Turkey Leg Hunt owners respond to 1.3 million lawsuit. They're known for their mouth-watering turkey legs and lines wrapped around the corner. But the Turkey Leg Hunt has found itself fighting yet another lawsuit. The popular Third Ward restaurant is being sued by U.S. Foods, a national food distributor that claims the Houston-based business and its owner owe more than $1.2 million for goods and services provided last year. But the owners say people need to pause. The owners said people need to push pause before jumping on the bashing bandwagon because there are 3 sides to every story. Turkey Leg Hunt was not aware of a pending lawsuit until we were contacted by the media Thursday afternoon. From what we can see, this is not adding up and cannot comment further on the pending litigation. The math is not math, and the company said in a statement. While that's their official statement, unofficially, owners Lynn and Nakia Price are taking to social media to defend their successful business. The proof will come out just like it came out with the woods, smoke, and all that. Lynn Price said, referring to a previous lawsuit where the neighbors sued the restaurant because of smoke from their ovens. The Prices emerged victorious in that suit. Lynn Price says, the more successful they get, the more people attack them. So this latest lawsuit is nothing new. They can't fathom how a black couple has done as well as we've done. And then you see places with this clickbait, they run with it, Price said in a video posted to social media. We have a worldwide brand. When you have a brand that's strong, the comments don't get to me. You have to be able to decipher the hate. I've dealt with haters in the street. A lawsuit and hate online is not going to stop people from eating. Good work sells itself. U.S. Foods, which is based in Chicago area, filed a civil lawsuit in federal court in Illinois in early December. The lawsuit names Turkey Leg Hut and Nakia Price as defendants and alleges they defaulted on a 2020 agreement for produce and other food items. The total amount currently due and owing from Turkey Leg under the Turkey Leg customer agreement is $1,288,583.12, exclusive of interest, costs, and fees. The lawsuit reads, in the beginning of September 2020, U.S. Foods and Turkey Leg Hut agreed on delivery of service and goods according to the lawsuit. Price also allegedly agreed to pay all costs, expenses, and fees, including attorney fees. The TLH and Price also agreed to pay a 1.5 interest a month in past due payments. U.S. Foods alleges that Turkey Leg Hut has not paid for $85,106.17 worth of produce it was provided between May and September of last year. It has an outstanding balance of nearly $1.3 million when factoring in other food and food-related products it received. Price is named as a defendant in the lawsuit because she signed on as a guarantor in the agreement according to the U.S. Foods. The lawsuit alleges breach of contract and unjust enrichment on the part of Turkey Leg Hut, among other claims. Nakia Price posted on her social media, Us Food owed us money for advertising, etc. on trucks, IG and all. It's always three sides to the story, and this side ain't the truth. Why would a company let a bill get that high? Because they did not at all. I've dealt with bigger, but hold tight. Trust me, this is trash. Money numbers don't lie. So I'm hoping that turkey leg. I'm hoping that they can go ahead and get everything straight. From what I've heard, I've never eaten at the place, but I heard that it is a definitely a great restaurant. $1.3 million, and they said they just found out about what's supposedly owed. But also at the end of the actual article, you hear Nakia Price telling everybody that Us Food owed them for advertising, etc. on trucks, IG, and all. So hopefully it is three sides of the story. I know this is considered a really, really great restaurant from a lot of people. I wish Black Pressure was up in here too, because I know he's also from the actual Houston area as well too. And I've been hearing about, I can't remember if Jason Black did an actual he did a space months ago, and I believe he may have, I don't know if he mentioned turkey leg or turkey hunt at one time. I could be wrong or not, but I believe Jason Black did touch up on this months ago, or maybe it was another business, but I know it was one that they were trying to get to sell or whatever. So fortunately, I hope that this couple can go ahead and keep their business and keep everything rolling. Almost $1.3 million. That's a lot of money to cough up. They're saying that over $85,000 worth of produce has not been paid between May and September of last year. So hopefully, like the sister said, that she's dealt with a bill that high before. Doesn't seem like she's that concerned. Hopefully, they can go ahead and keep everything rolling. From what I hear, like I say, they said that the food is pretty good there. So hopefully, everybody they can go ahead and keep their business. We need more Black businesses, and it's good to see a Black couple actually working together and doing things the right way as well too. So that's it for our actual articles tonight. Like I said, we just touched up, for those that's coming in, we just touched up on the Ed Reed and the Bethune-Cookman situation. We touched up on Tyre Nichols, the young man that was killed in Memphis. Unfortunately, too, and I guess it doesn't matter, but 5 police officers, and they all were Black. They all took part in the actual beating of the brother and whatnot, and he's dead. That footage should be coming out soon to the actual general public as well, too. So hopefully we'll get a chance to catch that body cam footage and see exactly what's what. Very, very tragic. My heart goes out to his parents and his family, his loved ones. I definitely heart goes out. We're starting the year off not great. Like I said, this brother lost his life at the hands of 5 cops. I would think that 5 cops should be able to subdue one man without killing him. If you see that picture of his face too, and that's up in the jumbotron as well too. If you see the picture of the brother's face, it looks awful, man. It looks really, really awful. I mean, there's really no words that can go. Really no words I could say about that. Of course, Ben Crump, he's on the actual case as well too. We know Ben Crump is great for getting those settlements. He did get a conviction, I believe it was last year, the other year, I can't remember what case, but he did. They actually did get a conviction to go along with all the settlements that he always gets as well too. So that's a good thing. The cops have been fired, but to my knowledge, they have not been what's the word, Lord? It's slipping my mind. They have not been charged with anything at this point in time. So, and everybody's calling for them to be tried as well too. So if they've been fired this quick, and generally, and this is a difference here. Generally, when it's white cops, they get put on paid leave or whatever. So they went ahead and they fired them immediately. So if they're firing them behind this here, then there's got to be something to it. So if all 5 of them been fired, then apparently they killed it. I mean, based on what the actual article said, they had to play a major part of his death. Professor, what's up? Go ahead, you got it.
Newstoter, just thinking about what you just said, with it being the 5 Black officers, and of course they just been fired immediately. I want everybody to think about the fact that with these guys being Black, you see how quick they moved on this. And it makes you wonder how quickly would they move if this had been 5 white officers? Would they have been so willing to fire so easily? So let this be a lesson to the Black men out here, Black women. If you decide you want to get on the bad side and beat up on our people, you're not going to get that same benefit of the doubt or that so-called white privilege. you're gonna probably be out there on your own, like these 5 black officers. See, they out there on their own. They got rid of these guys. But if you be a white officer out here doing this, you'll get away with it, most likely. So I want anybody that's in law enforcement that's black, if you're out here doing something that's not right, you're probably not going to get the same benefit of the doubt. So that shows you that there's some discrimination and racism within law enforcement too. If you black, you're going to be out there on your own. And that's all I want to say, Newstoter.
Appreciate that, Professor. Yeah, and like I said, they didn't take normally now with the cops. Normally, in any other situation, they put on leave and whatnot, and they got to review this and they got to review that or whatever. And I'm not saying because they black cops that they should, they should get away with killing his brother, anything like that, allegedly or whatever. But at the same time, like I said, we know for a fact whenever you have an incident that happens with white cops, they put on paid leave. It takes forever for anything to happen or whatever. But here they ain't waste no time. Now I know some people may say, well, Memphis is a black city as well too, so maybe that's why they acted so much quicker and everything else. But they ain't waste no time going ahead and firing these guys. And like I say, if you can go ahead and say that they had culpability in this or that or whatever, then basically you're saying that they took part in killing them. So I don't really know. I want to know exactly how long it's going to take before they actually get charged for this as well too. And it's an old saying they used to say when I remember growing up. They used to always tell us that, you know what, these black cops are actually worse than the white cops. No lie. They used to always tell us that as kids and stuff like that because everybody always felt like the black cops had to prove their loyalty. They had to prove that, hey, I belong here with you. I'm willing to go ahead and go that extra mile and show you that I'm also, I'm down for the cause as well too. So that's not always to say that's the case, but that was always what we was told and whatnot. Hey, them black cops, I always remember that scene off of Boys in the Hood too, when your boy pulled a gun out on Cuba Gooding Jr. character and told him to, oh, you think you're tough. He was ready to shoot. Yeah, he was ready to blast my boy. L.A. Rob, what's going on? Go ahead and unmute your mic, bro.
Don't forget, nigga at the end, he was crying afterwards. Fuck these niggas. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of this shit. You know what I'm saying?
What's going on to the good evening to the kings and queens?
What's up, bro?
My dad was police. You know what I'm saying? God rest his soul. He was 77. You know what I'm saying? In LA. But what I can say, being a 72 baby, is it was a lot more black, and it was a lot more training going on. You know what I'm saying? I knew how my dad rolled, but he was head of the internal affairs in Los Angeles. So it was, I called it. You know what I'm saying? And I called it growing up. But one thing I remember was the neighborhood policed their own neighborhood. They was, and then the training, if you was cripping or you know what I'm saying, you was bleeding, you know what I'm saying, gangbang, they came for you. And that was wrong. But if you wasn't on the street corner, you know what I'm saying, the black police officers got out, you know what I'm saying, wasn't in the neighborhood. Here come these white folks coming. They've been overseas, they've been in the military, and, whatever they were seeing over there, they were shell shocked. You know what I'm saying? They gonna shoot first and ask questions later. And might not even ask questions. They just gonna, you know what I'm saying? Now I see they kill a black dude, black young folk, they don't even cover them up. You know what I'm saying? They was killing folks back in South Central. And, right or wrong, they would cover them up. Now they just, you know what I'm saying, just shooting us down like dogs. You know what I'm saying, more than anything. And that's what I remember the first person that I seen my mama crying on TV was a dude named Ron Settles. He was a running back for Long Beach State. And he was hung in the cell in Signal Hill. I was young, but I just remember my mama crying in front of the TV. And she was just always saying, I remember repeat, they just do us like dogs. They always killing us, always killing us. And it shook to, you know, you see your mama gonna cry, you know what I'm saying, off someone she don't even know. But it was just, you know what I'm saying, it was just a different era, you know, because I just remember, you know what I'm saying. My mom always say, well, you got a hell of a memory. I was like, Mom, it's probably this big ass head I got. I ain't say ass because my mama got that left hand.
Real talk, LA Robin. You said that they don't even cover. You said they don't even cover the folks up no more when they get killed on the street.
Nah, you know what I'm saying. I'm down here in Georgia. I'm finna go back and care for my mama next week. You know what I'm saying. I'm gonna be in LA for about 4 or 5 months. But it's just like, you know, it's just I didn't grow up in this era. You know what I'm saying? This right here, you got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Use your fists. You know what I'm saying? If you squabble, win or lose or draw, you cool. You know what I'm saying? But they killing, man. They just killing, man. And they get this time, bruh. You know what I'm saying? At 15, 16 years old, what you gonna do against a 15-year-old against a 32-year-old? I've done 2.5 years, and I was okay. I didn't have to deal with certain shit that other motherfuckers deal with. Excuse my French, but I've heard a man, you know what I'm saying, plead for his manhood. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I ain't got nothing. You know, I got to protect my own. You know what I'm saying? But these kids, you know, parents need to be parents. My mama used to say, just because you got a kid don't mean you a parent. I really didn't understand what that shit, you know what I'm saying, what it meant. Everybody don't need to have a kid just because they have kids, son. I'm like, man, what my mama talking about? Shit, I know now.
Real talk, man. And our prayers for you and your family, man, and definitely LA. Y'all make sure y'all pray for this brother as he going back out there to take care of his mom and whatnot, man. Like I said, I appreciate all the love you showed me as well too when I went through my situation with my mother losing her. So you definitely will be in my thoughts and prayers, brother. You just go ahead and be safe, take care of yourself, go out there, do what you can do for your mom, man. Continue to give her that love, and you know what I'm saying. We'll be thinking about you, bro. You need anything, just holler at us.
Oh, man, my mom ain't walked since 2017, but she gonna walk because I'm posted up. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know, one thing I tell people, you know what I'm saying? I tell my brother, see, my brother remember my mama being Sister Sandra. I know Sandra and Sister Sandra, so I know how her movements, you know what I'm saying? I know that right hand, and I know that Bible, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it's all good, homie. It's all good. Remember what I told you, news? Somebody worse off than me and you. So we're going to pray for them, pimping, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely, brother. Definitely appreciate. Glad to have you up in the spaces tonight as well, too, LA. Let me go ahead real quick and kick it to Nate. Nate, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good, News. Appreciate you letting me speak. What's up, DJ, Ray? Everybody, space. The last brother, man, he hit the nail on the head, and I can testify. I can testify to that. I was in the. You talking about the, you know, how they hire these veterans, because they're killers. They train killers, right? So I was in the Army for 22 years, and I went overseas 4 times. I've been in hundreds of firefights, and of course, I knocked some people's heads off while I was overseas. And I was hired by the police. It was a natural transition. I joined the Army when I was 17, so I had no life experience, right? And so I applied to the police because it was a natural transition from one gun to the next gun. And I quit after 4 months in the academy. The academy's 6 months long, and I quit. And I got stories for days about the shit I saw on there. What they's telling me, there's no way I could step outside against my people. And that's exactly why I quit. But let me tell you the story about the police. Remember, y'all, I just told you I joined the Army when I was 17.
So I had never been in a job interview before. I had never been in a job interview. So when I was interviewing with the police, and it's an extensive hiring process, but there's 2 formal interviews, and I failed both formal interviews because, like I said, I had never done a job. I didn't know a job interview was something you studied for, something you prepared for. I thought it was just something you just went in there and did. So I failed. I failed the formal interview, the initial with the background detective, and I failed the one with the lieutenant, the 2 sergeants. And I'll never forget this, y'all. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I lived 150 years. I'll never forget this. I walked out of the office after the second formal interview, and my background detective pulled me aside and says, "Hey, man, you failed both the interviews. However, we're going to hire you on your paper record alone." I'll never forget as long as I said. And the only thing my 22 years in the Army, the only thing it said was that I was capable of hurting other people with guns. That's all it said. And that's why they hired me, because I had a proven track record that I was willing to go outside and do that work. They didn't hire me to help the community, to protect the community, to get cats out of trees. You know what I'm saying? They did not hire me for that. They hired me because, like I said, I had a proven track record of hurting folks. And so the last brother hit the nail on the head. That's when people refer to the cops as race soldiers. They are race soldiers, and they're there to kill you. Whenever you call a cop, I don't care what you call a cop for. You can call a cop for a health and welfare check. You can call a cop for whatever. They're showing up to kill you, and I'm not sure how else to explain that. And so I see time and time again something will happen, and somebody talking about call the police. Well, nah, don't call the police. Figure out a way to handle the situation on your own, or to de-escalate the situation, because again, they're showing up to kill you. And I appreciate y'all letting me speak, man. Yeah, I'll land right there.
No problem, Nate. Glad to have you as always up in the space. Thank you for coming and speaking tonight. If you got any other questions you want to ask, just go ahead, or anything you want to talk about, just go ahead and raise your hand again. What's up, brother? I see you up in the spot tonight. How you doing?
Hey, Newstoter, how are you? How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling okay. I'm making it.
That's good. I think that's a good answer. Hey, Ray and DJ and Original.
What's up?
Hey, guys. Original, Professor, and of course Nate and LA Rob. Man, I always love listening to our man from LA. They're just always so chill and laid back.
What's up, Mr. Willa? Good to see you, lady.
Good to see you too, Professor. So, and Miriam, I'm sorry. How are you doing, sis? So I had to scroll down and get everybody on the screen. But I actually just wanted to say I definitely agree. I think if we look at what happened to the 2 cops, I mean, in all the instances, even with Tatiana Jefferson, that cop was able to, pretty much still be out free. It took them a whole year to really get him convicted. And I think that's the case that you were talking about, Ms. Toter. And then the other thing was this case in Dayton, Ohio, with I want to say it's Letitia. I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce her name. But she literally was punched in the face because McDonald's messed up her order. And not only was she just pretty much brutalized, but she was brutalized by both cops, and only one was placed on leave, and they have not put the other on leave. And so that case is being handled a lot different. So when you look at the case with the 4 cops with Tyre Nichols, I think that it's justified, and charges should have been swift and immediately. They broke his neck in 3 places. His face was unrecognizable. He didn't look like himself. That's how bad the swelling was. So it's sad because I hate even having to play the comparison role, but when something like that happens so brutally, and you think about even Freddie Gray's case, what happened to him, and how even those cops were all mixed. was a mixture of different racial groups in those cops, right? But the two cops that I think killed him were the two white cops that were on the bikes. I think the heavyset one actually is the one that broke his neck prior to them broke his, I think, part of his spine prior to them putting him in the van. And then from there, they went ahead and took him on, the whatever ride they call it. So when you look at even those cases, they didn't even move to arrest them right away. They did not do them the way they're doing these 4 black cops, and it's sickening because it's like they gonna get what they deserve. Like, this man literally, Tyre Nichols, is dead, gone, unalived, and brutally unalived. So I cannot look at them any different than I would look at white cops or a female cop or any cop that actually brutalizes us in any way, because at the end of the day, logic says, these folks are out of control and they're utilizing the system to commit these crimes. And it's been that way for so long. It's been that way forever, actually. So it's a sad scenario. And then, with the Ron DeSantis situation, I think you brought that up too, right, Newstoter?
Oh,
no. I'm sorry, not Ron DeSantis, Ed Reed.
Oh yeah, Ed Reed, yeah.
It's so much drama right now.
But we did bring that up a couple nights ago. We did talk about Ron DeSantis and his anti-black hate on education, everything that is black in the state of Florida. Yeah.
Right. So, with the Ed Reed situation, I know we talked about it earlier in BCU. BCU should be ashamed of themselves. Alexis was doing a good space, and we actually had the same conversation that Ed Reed probably should have waited till the ink was dry and then went ahead and actually exposed the school if that's what he was going to do. Because at least then, he could say, okay, I am doing this for the kids, which I feel like he is. But his reaction, how he's going about it, that's his reaction. He's not going to be Deion Sanders. He's him. But the school, the dean, the administration, like, there has to be like a high level of corruption going on to the point where you got the damn dean of the school talking about mold and mildew ain't the same, and the football players having to share helmets because they, so that they don't pass any type of viral or infectious diseases through their helmets from mold and mildew. Then you have the school itself, sports and stuff. So I'm thinking, how in the world did they let Bethune BCU get this bad? What in the world who is responsible? To me, it can't rest on Ed Reed because he just got there. The dean has been there forever. He even said it in the interview he did with Roland Martin. He walks the grounds every day. And I'm thinking to myself, you walk the grounds every day and you just what? You just missed some spots. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what is really happening?
Unfortunately, Rella, I have to be real. Up here at FAMU too, they had some of the same issue with the mold. When school started, they didn't have enough places that fit the kids and stuff right there. You had kids staying up in hotels and this and that, and they had to get emergency funding to go ahead and start to get some. I think they got $25 million where they had to start building more actual apartment housing for the kids and stuff like that. You had complaints of mold and this and that or whatever. So unfortunately,
they're taking these babies' money, these families' money, and we're enrolling them into HBCUs. And don't get me wrong.
And that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, it's a lot of HBCUs doing that. Unfortunately.
But I'm not saying we shouldn't save our HBCUs, but I'm thinking to myself, how in the F did we get caught up in a catch-22? And I say we because I feel like I'm partly responsible as well, because this is part of our cultural identity here in the United States. So how in the hell did we get to this point, to the point where the damn administration has to be somebody on the take? Because I know it happened in Howard. The people who's there, they was on the take, and they was busted. That came out, I think, a year ago or two. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking, this man is talking about The storm that came through in September, he said the conditions in the environment of Florida, that's the reason why you have the building looking the way it is. And I'm thinking, no, that ain't no 4 months. That's not no 4 months. No 4 month of dilapidation. That's years, and you walk the grounds and never alerted CDC. You never alerted any type of health department. You never actually, demanded funds for this to be done until, unfortunately, Ed Reed put it on blast, and his platform was big enough. So I've heard both sides of the scenario with Ed Reed, but I'm thinking if pro football players are going to step in and they're going to be the catalyst for change, let them be that. Let them do what it is that they do with their platforms, because we've asked pro athletes to utilize their platforms to help rebuild our establishments for our communities. Now, if people want to have the moral compass conversation, then fine. But you need to make sure these deans and these administrations that's taking your baby's money, your family's money, while they're sitting up here and your kids ain't got food to eat and they can't read the books because they probably molded shut. They can't sleep in the beds because I saw the beds got mold and mildew on it. They can't even breathe the damn air in the colleges. If you're not in the college, why are you paying the school? So I'm going to lay it there and I'll be quiet.
No, you good. I would say something. We got some hands up, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back, and I'll touch up on the Ed Reed thing as well too, and the HBCUs. And like I said, also, it's not just Bethune-Cookman. FAMU up here in Tallahassee having the same issue. Also, when it's time for it's time to get those tuition checks. Why the hell it always takes so long at a lot of these HBCUs to get your tuition checks as well too? So, like I say, I'll come back on that. I want to, because we got some hands up, so I want to get to our people. We got Original, then we got Miriam, then we got LA Rob, and we got Miss T. So I'm gonna go ahead and then let everybody get their say in, and we'll move it around. Go ahead, Original, you got it.
Greetings, peace, black power, reparation, everybody. Reparation 2020, reparations2023.com. And good evening to you too, Miss Rella. Hope you do. I see you're doing well tonight. But you know what? These black officers, it seemed like the police departments across this country are just as sick as America is. Let's not forget also, you all remember back in Louisiana a few years ago, if nobody mentioned it, there was some black cops. They were chasing this white drug dealer, and I think the white drug dealer shot at them. So they shot at the white drug dealer, and he had his kid in the car with him, and so one of the bullets killed the white kid, and the black officers, they were arrested, they was charged, they was convicted. I can't recall how many years they received, but they probably are still in jail now. And they was going after a white drug dealer, a known drug dealer, And when I lived in Long Beach, this one brother who used to cut my hair, his childhood job was to be a police officer, and then he became a police officer. And I can't remember which department, if he worked at Long Beach Police Department or if it was LA Police Department. But anyway, he said once he got in there, he saw that it was the police who were committing the crimes. And it just turned him against wanting to be a police officer. And then he left and he knew some stuff. And these people, they are so evil. Ain't no good in them. They just evil. They tried to snatch his girlfriend. But see, luckily, although he was a police officer, he kept his contacts with the streets. And so some of his friends, they had to sit up, make sure that they would not, because he knew what they was going He said, and if it was going to go down, it was going to go down big because he knew some. I'll put it this way: some real people. I mean, this is how evil these people are, and what's so confusing. And see, I have a cousin. I'm not going to say where they're policing at, but my cousin was in the military. He was in one of those Gulf Wars or something like that. And so he had gone. His grandfather was a police officer. His father was a police officer. And so he was going through that little recruitment thing that young people do. And he was over, and when he was in the military, oh man, these people claimed that they loved him and they cared about him. They was concerned, and he was in one of those. He was blown up in one of those roadside bombs. And so he had called my brother, and I was at my brother's house, and he was telling my brother about it, and I was pissed. I said, you didn't have, and I didn't mean to be so rude to him, but I said, you didn't have to be taking your black ass over there fighting for America. Don't like you had no business going there fighting for America. Let America fight his own war. Don't you go over there and fight America war. You didn't throw back the Charles. Let it the Charles. I said, yeah, take it, and but we still close with each other though. But see, here's the issue. He is a police officer, and I think if he hasn't received it already, he was going for his grad degree. And but he started talking about how these white officers, just how racist they are towards him, because he has certain things that they don't have, like college education, and he's going for his grad degree. But they hate him because of that. I mean, these folks, they are just straight up evil. None whatsoever. And there was another brother when I lived in Long Beach. You all remember when the LA rebellion happened? I'm not going to call it a riot; it was a rebellion. But when that guy Damian Football Williams and some of the other people who were arrested, and when they was going through their trial, this guy who came, he would come out and speak on behalf of the community every day. And what he did was he wore African garb every day when he would speak before the news media, because they knew that pissed off the news media. They didn't like black folks acknowledging any kind of blackness, So his name was Don Jackson. He was a police officer with the Hawthorne Police Department. And he had to turn renegade and go against those fools because of what these police officers across LA County were doing to black police officers. And they were too chicken to say anything. Some of them, you had this one. What was that called? It was a black police society. I can't remember what it was called. It was out of LA. It was from one of the first black officers who joined the LA Police Department. But anyway, they would come on the radio and talk all big and bad and this, that, and whatever. But when that Rodney King situation went down, they was mute. And you had there was only one LA police officer said something, and it was a black female, and she was telling what was going on in the LA Police Department. And then you had some people start saying, well, she looked like a lesbian, and we were like, look, that is her life, but she's the only one that's speaking up over here. All these other men, they're acting like punks. They ain't saying nothing. But Don Jackson, what he did, he started staging situations whereby, I remember there was one time he was driving a big deuce and a quarter. They was going down Pacific Coast Highway, and they were pulled over by a Long Beach police officer. Now, although it was an older car, the registration was fine and everything, and the police pulled him over for nothing, just because he could. And so when Don started, questioning him and stuff, and you may have seen this, where they hit the news, maybe all across the country, but they slammed them into this storefront, and the glass broke everywhere. But and it was at that time, it was NBC that was following them. But then, NBC got called on because, you're not supposed to do that to help black folks with anything. But Don was able to expose them because see his own what made him, expose the police officer was see his father worked in law enforcement, and I can't recall if he worked for the LA County Sheriff or one of the other surrounding police departments. His father was stopped, and they beat the crap out of his father for nothing. And then when they saw his father credentials fell out of his pocket, they said, "Oh, we're sorry. We didn't know you was, we didn't know you was with the police." I mean, these people, like I said, they just straight up. And then he started exposing them. And he does have a website. It's still up. It's called policeabuse.com. And one of the videos, and some of his videos are on YouTube too. His name, he changed his name to Diop Kamal, DIOP, Kamal. And so one of the videos that he's showing where they're supposed to give you the forms to file a complaint against a police officer. So he sent this guy in to get the form. They kept telling him he couldn't get the form. He had to show some ID and this, and they're just supposed to give you the form. And while the guy was in there asking for the form, guess who's sitting back there, not saying anything? Another black officer going along with this madness. And this is why some of the things that happened to us happened. I think those 5 officers in Memphis, I think they were just showing the white folks that they can beat one of us up worse than they can, and they killed the brother. I mean, these people, there's something wrong with them, and but it's interesting though. But like Professor was saying, these black officers get up here and they do this stuff. They go to jail. The white ones, they get put on administrative leave. They leave if they are charged and convicted. At least they're still getting a paycheck. Even while the trial is going, they probably still get a paycheck. So that's what I wanted to share because, like I said, these people, they're sick, and I always have to call and check on my cousin to see if I'm right. Because, like I said, these people, I mean, they're just sick. And let me say that as far as the HBCUs, I can't recall which one it was, but you've had several of the HBCUs up here in Atlanta. They've had the mold situation. They've had sometime when the children are coming back in for the next semester, they have issue with housing, all kind of stuff. It's like, and you all remember what happened to Morris Brown. I think that was a hit where these people, they were, and I worked, this one brother who worked at the company where I worked, he got caught up in that mess when these people, they were stealing the money, and then they were signing, filling out the paperwork for these people, these students to get financial aid, and the students didn't sign for it, but they made the students responsible for it. And I think those people, they were sent there to destroy Morris Brown because Morris Brown is the only one of those colleges over there in that little center that was founded by black folks. And the other schools, the Morehouse and Spelman and Clark Atlanta, they kind of have a little disdain for Morris Brown, and they always make jokes about Morris Brown would take anybody and stuff like that, But you know what? They may have taken anybody, but they educated them, So yeah, it's a sick process that we're dealing with, and I think that what Ed Reed said about that school, I think is true. And like I said, I wish he had a sign on the dotted line before he said it, but maybe those students might be able to get him back up in there. And I'll land with that.
All right. Thank you, Original. Thank you, brother. Up in the Jumbotron tomorrow night, guys. Like I say, we have a Twitter space, 8:00, question and answer with Gabe Piedmont. So, guys, if you can, make sure you go ahead and come in there. I'm going to send out those notifications tomorrow as well, too. When you get it, go ahead and retweet it out. Make sure you click the reminder. It's going to be a question and answer. So if any of you guys are in the space tomorrow and you want to ask a question, we'll try to get to as many questions as we can, but you're going to have to do it in the comments section. So we're going to go ahead. You send us the questions and we'll go ahead and we will ask him the actual questions as well, too. So please go ahead. We already have some questions already planned out to ask him, but we want to also get the people in the actual in the actual space. We want them to ask some questions as well too. So go ahead tomorrow night in the actual comment section. Go ahead and ask a question that you may want us to ask him, and we'll try to go ahead and get that to him as well. Also in the Jumbotron, guys, is the actual Newstoter YouTube channel and newsletter. Please make sure you go ahead and subscribe to both of them. Go ahead and subscribe to both of them. They are free to subscribe to. Go ahead, please. We're trying to grow that YouTube channel, so we need everybody in the space that can to go to YouTube real quick and go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go ahead and subscribe to the Newstoter YouTube channel. Also subscribe to the newsletter as well too, with Twitter and all these social media sites. You never know what happens. You could get banned one day. That way we won't have any kind of contact with you guys. So please go ahead and subscribe to the actual newsletter as well too. Also, if you guys have not created an account on social as well, create an account on social. DJ, when you get a chance, put the social link up in the actual Jumbotron as well too. We're trying to grow. That's Black Majority States social media site. We're trying to grow that as well too. So please go ahead. We got quite a few people. Rel, I know Mr. Engaging, me, DJ, Professor. Quite a few of us in this space right now already have profiles on there as well too. So please go ahead. Let's go ahead and try to grow the actual Black-owned platforms as much as we can, people. And if you can, also we have our Cash App also in the Jumbotron. That is $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black American-owned news curation platform today in America. That is $Newstoter. If you don't have a Cash App, we also have the Venmo and PayPal as well up in the Jumbotron as well. Also, let me go ahead and kick it to Miss T. Miss T, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter. Good evening to everyone in the space. Very good to see you all here again. The issue with these HBCUs, I think we need to form some type of oversight committees for these HBCUs. I too am in Atlanta, and I witnessed what happened with Morris Brown. And it was a tether that was part of the faculty that was stealing those funds that caused the school to lose its accreditation. And if I'm not mistaken, if you have water damage and the insurance company pays you to have that water damage repaired, they also include mildew and mold damage as well. So these schools should be getting checks. I'm sure they have insurance. Would you think that they have insurance, Newstoter?
They have to have insurance. If they have that, just with the amount of people at that school, you have to have some kind of liability insurance. And yeah, they got insurance.
Right, but that's like liability on a person. You know what I'm saying? So that when it comes to like real estate insurance, certain places or states or town, maybe Rella can answer this, they don't provide flood insurance, all insurance companies. So that's a problem. Not certain natural disasters, you can't get insurance for that type of stuff. You know, people over here in New Jersey still fighting for that Sandy Hook. You know what I mean? It's not Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook was in there.
Sandy Hook.
You're still fighting for that. You know what I mean?
I would think like Bethune-Cookman then would have to have some kind of insurance to cover like damage and flood and especially hurricanes here in Florida.
Natural disaster. But it would also be covered under FEMA if they apply for it. So again, that is actually something that would actually have to come from uncovering maybe information, because again, the dean distinctively tried to make a difference between mold and mildew, which lets me know somebody got some money. Somebody got some money.
Exactly. And what his verbiage was, that's most likely mildew, not mold. Has he not even had it examined? What kind of leadership do we have here? Because it should not have been a problem for him to call out the insurance company to inspect what that was. The insurance company would have made an immediate decision if those students needed to be relocated somewhere else until that situation was taken care of, because they wouldn't want to face a lawsuit in years to come with health issues due to mold and mildew or whatever. Something stinks. We need oversight committees at these HBCUs, because most of our schools are not being run by Freedmen or FBA. Let's just be real. Most of them are being ran by people from other countries who are used to living in third world conditions. And that's why they have this lackadaisical attitude towards the housing situations for our children. Have them living in rodent-infested places. Something's got to be done. These parents need to take control. They are paying their money to send their most prized possessions to these universities for an education. And you want your child to be able to live in something decent and clean. Personally, as I heard those boys speak about, the mildew in their helmets, on their uniforms, I would have took my baby up out of there. That's just me personally. But to hear that, I don't know if you all have heard them talk about it. These boys spoke very elegantly, and they are aware of the issues that they are going through and how they're being neglected. So we as a community need to contact somebody. I don't know. We need a call to action. Maybe I'm going to have to talk to
the health department. The health department should have been notified. Period. The moment that the pictures came out, now the health department should be on their way, because that is hazardous.
Okay, well, I will find out what county that college is in and contact the health department in that area in that county, and make sure that they are aware and that they are sending someone out there, because that's just trifling. And I know they got insurance. I know the insurance company paid them for water damage, and they probably haven't followed what the insurance company recommended as well. And with that, I land my plane.
Real quick, let me say this right here. When you were saying he didn't know whether it was mold or mildew, we also got to look at the fact that he probably wants to try to minimize it as much as possible and say that, hey, well, this ain't mold, this is mildew. So to come out and say that that's mold, especially certain types of mold, black mold, regardless of what it is, but you talk about black mold and stuff like that, yeah, you can talk about a serious health issue right there. So at this point, they got to go ahead and try to put the PR front up there and try to minimize the impact, because you got a former Hall of Fame player, Super Bowl winner, went up here and he openly slammed the actual team, not only the football team, but the actual university. He slammed it on social media, and that gained national attention, and he ended up getting fired. So, and then that just led to an avalanche of students complaining and things like that. So, they have a real PR challenge on their hands right now. It's not looking good. And it's not looking good for a whole lot of HBCUs at this point. Because like I say, FAMU had a actual nightmare. Their fall semester, they had actual nightmare when it came time to enroll those students. A lot of them didn't have any place to live at. The living conditions weren't great. And this is just not, this is a HBCU thing that's going on right now. And a lot of that has to do with bad funding.
Don't forget PCU, Eddie George just came out as well.
Yeah. So, a lot of it has to do with
Eddie George at TSU.
Yeah, I think Eddie George, he did come out and say something. It's the actual, you got to remember too that these coaches, when you're talking about Deion Sanders, when you're talking about Eddie George, when you talk about Ed Reed, okay, these guys went to the major white universities, huge football institutions and stuff like that. Even though when Deion first got to Florida State was up and coming, but nonetheless, they went to big universities that had a lot of money, resources, and stuff like that. So to actually come to these HBCUs and to see the way the actual universities look and the way it's ran and stuff like that, is a culture shock to a certain degree. So they're voicing the things, and I will say this right here, and I'm gonna kick it to you, Mr. Engagement, because I know you got your hand up, and let me also give you a shout out for the Cash App. I'll say this right here is that Deion Sanders, everybody is comparing Ed Reed to Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, when he got to Jackson State, he didn't air out Jackson State dirty laundry. He went behind the scenes and he started getting donors and he started actually, getting resources for the program. Now, after he left, you may have heard some stuff said about this and that when, it was kind of a backlash. But Deion Sanders did not get on social media and say, Jackson State ain't got this. Jackson State ain't got that. So that's a little bit of a difference. Like, even though I agree with Ed said, I just wish he would have went ahead, waited, signed that contract. You get that contract in college football, you got a guarantee. That means if they fire you, they have to give you a buyout. So I wish he would have went ahead and did that. And then I also wish he just would have went ahead, and got to work and then, went ahead and tried to get some people to come in there as well. Till you talk to the actual administration, you let them know, like, hey, if your players if they got mildew on their helmets, that's got to be addressed right away. Like, we can't do this. We can't have this. That you're going to seriously get somebody sick and possibly even killed out here. We can't do this. So it was. I know everybody's comparing him and Deion Sanders and this and that. And I know him and Deion was boys because they both played at the Ravens, even though Deion's a good deal older than Ed Reed. But the point, the fact of the matter is that they went about doing things a little bit differently. Like I say, he went ahead and he got behind the scenes. And because Deion had such a star appeal, he was able to get people to come in there and want to invest in this and that into the actual program. Ed Reed, a great player and everything, but Ed Reed, one of the best to ever play football. Ed Reed does not quite have the star appeal that Deion Sanders has as well, too. So I don't know if Ed Reed would have been able to get the same kind of people to come to actual the Bethune-Cookman and invest money and stuff like that, like they did with Deion Sanders. Eddie George, a great player as well, too. But, Deion Sanders was a great player, but he was also a transcendent, iconic type individual as well, too. So it's a little bit different in terms of getting those dollars rolling into the university the way Deion, plus with his mouth and the way he's a self-promoter, the way he's always been able to promote. He was able to come in there and promote his team as well as himself, as well as the actual SWAC conference, as well as HBCU football. So I kind of wish Ed would have went about it just a little bit in a different way. I understand what he was saying. I understand that he was frustrated. But when you're not even fully hired yet and you're sitting up here and you're ranting on social media and you're saying, well, I'm coming out here and I'm having to pick up the garbage and these MFs and clean my office off and this and that or whatever, this is your employer, your employer to be. How many people in this space that have a 9-to-5 can actually go in there, post a social media video about a job that they're about to get hired to? They're about to get hired and get hired by these people and sit up there and rip them a new one up there. And then, say, hey, I'm sorry about how things would and this and that. And then Ed still doubled down. Ed was like, MF, like, yeah, he talking about people walking with Judas and this and that or whatever. So the players and the university, the kids out there, they want him to come back. But it's so much egg in the face of the actual university and the athletic department at this point in time, you have to wonder how this exactly is going to roll right now. But like I say, his gripes about the way the HBCUs are managed and run and this and that are legitimate. A lot of that has to do with the funding disparity that you see between a Florida State and a FAMU. Florida State, I think Florida State endowment is something like $700-800 million, and I'm pretty sure FAMU's is nowhere in the ballpark. Florida State is buying up all of the property and stuff like that, getting money coming in, building up, getting the complexes and everything else in Tallahassee, pretty much and just encroaching in the FAMU's position and in their territory, taking stuff up because they're getting federally funded, they're getting state funded and everything else. And these HBCUs never had that. But at the same time, when you do have some of these HBCUs that have a chance to do something, the HBCUs got to learn to pool their resources together. And that's something that they have not done. That's something they refuse to do. You can't compete with these PWIs, so you're going to have to pool your resources together. Else you're going to get knocked up out the box. Mr. Engaging, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's up, family? Yeah, I definitely agree with you about HBCUs need to consolidate, and that's what I wanted to lead off with. I know that might not be something that's very popular, you know what I mean? And I can understand the reasons why, but as of right now, I don't see the benefit of some of our HBCUs if they're not being competitive enough to the WPIs. I think that by them consolidating themselves will actually give us a fighting chance and actually be competitive on some level. And that it's not a complete diss or anything, but we are in a global society, and we should be acting accordingly. So that was one of my first things. My second thing that I wanted to get off was about these black cops acting black cops out here showing out for the white cops and all that nonsense. My take on this whole thing is that why on earth these black cops got charged as a hate crime? Let's make an example. It might not be popular, but like on some real talk stuff, like they just had an incident where this Asian man shot up this whole Asian community, got charged for a hate crime. So why is these guys ain't charged for a hate crime? So that's just my take on the whole two incidents. I don't have that much to say about Dr. Umar right now and that stuff, but Brett Favre need to be locked up. So that's just my take on that one as well.
Okay, real quick, I'm not sure about if they can actually be charged for a hate crime. You would have to prove that. I mean, that's a really.
They're anti-black American. They're out here beating up a black man for no reason and doing a whole bunch of other unethical things underneath the power of their shield. Why not get charged as a hate crime?
But they're also a black American themselves. I mean, I would assume most of them are black American.
They had the Asian guy that shot up the other Asian people, whatever, and they charged his ass with a hate crime too. He's being a disruption to that community. That might not sound popular, but
Now was the guy that shot up the Asians? Was he also a cop as well too?
No, he was the one that guy was he was a citizen who was like crazy or whatever, and he had
engaging. The hate crime law, man, is really an enhancement of another law. In other words, if you have committed a murder, and on top of that murder, you did it because of somebody's ethnicity or skin color, or origin, or heritage, or whatever.
And they did that. But brother, that is what they did.
It's an enhancement under the federal guidelines. So with a police officer, you can't necessarily use that as a hate crime because they was they was a police officer in the process of doing a duty. So I don't know if you can prove a hate crime. See?
Yeah, they did. Respectfully, they targeted that man, and they knew that they could get away with it because he was a black man. They wouldn't do that shit to a white person. So yeah, hate crime.
Mr. Engaging, did they post he was black though? Did they really do that?
Yeah, I just don't think you're gonna be able to prove that these cops here, committed a hate crime against him, Mr. Engager. That's just my personal opinion. That would be, that would be unprecedented. If that did happen, I'd be shocked. I'd eat crow, but I just don't see that happening. I just don't see them saying now.
Well, but the thing is, we're not advocating or pushing for that. I'm just tired of these cops targeting our people, and there's no recoil for that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what color these guys come in. They bleed blue, right? If they bleed blue, then stand by that shit.
Yeah, Mr.
Mr. Engaging. Hold on, Mr. Engaging. The fact of the matter is the law that you're speaking of, a crime, it has to be used in the process of an enhancement of murder. Were these guys intended to commit murder against the young man, Tyre Nichols? Were they trying to commit a murder against this young man because of his skin tone? See, can you prove that? See, I don't think you can in this case. This other situation you're talking about, this Asian guy, I'm not even sure if they charged this guy with a hate crime. I know you're saying
yes, they did.
So they charged with a hate crime.
And that's the reason why I'm using it as an example, saying that, hey, they say that this guy is a cancer in our community. He's doing anti-Asian things. I'm speaking as hypothetically as them, and that this guy needs to be punished.
Real quick, Mr. Engaging. Real quick. That's gonna set a precedent if they and let's be honest here. That would set such a precedent that if they went ahead and out of all the white cops that kill black people all the time, and this was the first time ever that they're gonna start using cops committing hate crimes against people like that, after all all of the cops who get off of killing black people, but now we're going to go ahead and we're going to charge these guys here for a hate crime who happen to be black for killing another black guy or something like that. What's going? And then you got. I mean, do you know how many white cops are going to really be shaking in their boots hearing something like this right here? I just don't see that possibly ever happening right there. I just don't see that happening, because that's going to open up Pandora's box right there. Now you're going to start having cops who they barely even want to charge anyways. Like we was talking about earlier in the space, half of the time they do something, even when somebody dies that they kill or whatever, they still get put on paid leave for the longest time. Now we're going to turn around and we're going to actually start charging them with hate crimes against people, against black people of that. And they violate black people's civil rights more than any other group in this country. I just don't see that. I just personally don't see that happening myself. Let me go ahead real quick and let me go ahead and kick it to LA Rob. We're gonna get to California. Then we're gonna get to original. I get to you. Now I'm gonna get to disruptive after that. Tammy, go ahead, LA Rob.
I'm just speaking as somebody who coaches kids basketball wise. I agree. Ed should have did it a different way, but it's so hard when you see these kids, especially inner city kids, that are playing because they love the game and because it's their way out of certain things that they've been dealt with. You know, where Eddie George is coaching at, I cut one of the dudes, NFL player. I ain't gonna say his name, but he went to TSU. He doesn't donate to the school. You know, almost made probably $60 million in NFL earnings over his career, maybe a little bit more. You know, but we got to do better. You got Reggie Theus at Bethune-Cookman. He's from Inglewood, UNLV basketball player, played in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? But you know, my grandfather used to say about Reggie Theus, anytime you got a man that take longer to get dressed than a woman, you don't need a pretty motherfucker. Excuse my French. You know what I'm saying? So it just seems like it's a lot of, you know what I'm saying? And Reed got the juice. Got Ray Lewis, play with Ray Lewis. So you know what I'm saying? If you got backing, you know what I'm saying. But do you want your backing to waste their money? That would be my number one thing. And they said, I'm not a fan of Shaq, but they said Shaq was going to donate some money as well, you know, with Ed Reed. You know, it's just, man, you know, when you dealing with inner city kids and black young kids, man, the passion goes out. Because you just don't, you want them to do their best, man. Because you know what they up against. You know what I'm saying? And you try to give them a light in this dark world, you know. But I'm going to slide.
Appreciate that, LA. Let me go ahead and get to California. California, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for rolling me the mic. I just wanted to chime in on that mode issue. Now, that's not surprising. And I think we'll be surprised at the number of universities and institutions that actually have that same issue at their dorms, because we have to take into consideration the air filter system, the facilities, maintenance, everybody that cleans up, and even directors that go in these dorms and maintenance directors that go in these dorms and check them out even before students check in. They already aware that there is mold and mildew in those rooms, but what they try to do is just cover it up with certain cleaning products and then hope that we'll burn the air conditioner long enough to cool it down, and then once the moisture is out of that air, then we don't have to worry about students facing, dealing with the mold and the mildew. But when I worked at one major white institution in Georgia, they had to actually shut down 2 dorm buildings because of that same issue. And then on top of that, the cleaning crew couldn't even go in there and clean. They had to bring in a special crew just because they had to change all the air conditioners and all the filters, and everything in there was just so archaic. It was just old. And so when they start calculating the cost, they don't want to pay the cost to change the filters or even just redo the whole air conditioning system. They don't want to pay that. So they rather sacrifice, try to put Band-Aids on it, clean it up, and hope don't nobody get sick, and then turn around and try to see. So it's not really that surprising. And because we had the same situation in K through 12. You know, I talk a lot about LAUSD, but for 30 years, they've had, well, actually 40, the district knew that they had lead in the water. And so the kids couldn't drink water on campus because the water was filled with lead, and they tested, and they knew it had lead. But nevertheless, just before the pandemic, they were supposed to change all those water fountains at every school in LAUSD, but then the pandemic kicked in, and that just shut everything down. So did they go in and change the water system? No. So what they just suggested was that parents just start bringing bottled water for the kids, or they just say, oh, we'll just try to change the water system each school as we go. But it costs them over a couple of $1 million to make that change. And so when these schools start calculating that budget and looking at that money, they don't want to pay the cost. And then they'll say, well, we don't have the money. And then the presidents and all them folks, they don't be knowing what actually be going on for real until it hit the news, and now somebody has to uncover all the dirt that went on. And after we had 10 or 15 students having to go to the emergency room for respiratory issues. And I mean, at that institution, and I'm gonna name that institution, Georgia Institute of Technology, they had to shut down 2 whole dorm buildings. And cleaning crew couldn't even go in there. Their regular maintenance cleaning crew couldn't even go in there and clean up, because that's how bad the mold and mildew was in there. As soon as you went into a room, all you saw was mold. That's all you saw. I mean, from the living rooms to the bedrooms to the bathrooms. It was ridiculous. They couldn't even, before we even went in there, they even had the nerve to say, well, just turn on the air conditioners and maybe, we can get some of this from out of the rooms. But that didn't work neither. So they just had to shut everything down and call in a whole different crew. And at that point, now they had to spend the money to clean up the mess. So if that's what Bethune has to do, they're going to have to come out the pocket. And if they didn't want to, then they're going to have to either release somebody from their duty, and then that'll free up some money so that they can come in and clean what they need to clean up and change all them filters. They shouldn't do that, and they know they shouldn't do that, and they keep on trying to hide stuff. And you can't hide stuff. Whatever you hide is going to come out in the light anyway. So just fix it before you start getting shamed. And they shouldn't do that. And that's ridiculous. So I can guarantee that there are other universities too. When I went to Clark Atlanta, we had some of the same issues. I wasn't a student that stayed on campus, but we would go in one of them dorms for class over off of James P. Brawley, and I swear it smelled like a trap house full of crackheads. And I was like, damn, it's stinking here. But it was something going on in the air conditioning system. And so it just stunk in here really horrible. And it was like, wow, we have to come in here and stay in here for a couple of hours for class. And it's just ridiculous. And we was paying, $12,000 to $14,000 a semester, or actually for a whole year. That's not right, and that's not fair for the rest of us, and then stick us in the end with those payments. I'm not with that. And they don't have an excuse. They don't have an excuse, sadly. all. And even over there at that Morris Brown, the young lady that spoke about the administrator that was stealing them students' money, they was stealing them students' money. They wasn't even issuing out financial aid because they was stealing the students' money. Then they turned around, hired Jesse Jackson as a professor and a lecturer who never stepped foot on campus, but they paid that food. Then they turned around, lost accreditation, and then started overcharging students fees. So by the time students left Morris Brown, they was in debt at about 50 G's or more. And where's Jesse Jackson at? Not one day did he step in the classroom on that campus, but they paid that food. They was charging students a couple $100 for pencils and papers and shit. Fees that the students never even saw until they graduated. It's like, really? That's shameful. They shouldn't do that and then turn around and complain about how predominantly white institutions treat black students. Somebody needs to get it together. And so I'm going to just land my plane.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate having you up here, California. Let me go ahead and Tammy, I know you had your hand up. We're going to go Tammy, Original. We'll get back to you, Miss T, as well, too. Do any of the co-hosts, y'all want to say anything before we get back, we get to everybody or whatnot? Y'all good?
Yeah, man, let the people cook, man. Just sit back listening.
Okay. Go ahead, Tammy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
We doing good.
What's up, sir?
You're a little, Tammy. You're a little bit muffled.
Okay, go on with somebody else.
Do you got a Bluetooth on or anything?
Yeah, I got a Bluetooth on.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute. Huh? Can you hear me?
You still muffled.
I'm trying to turn the Bluetooth off. Just go ahead and somebody else.
All right, we'll come back to you. Let me go ahead and get to
Turn the volume up on your Bluetooth, Tammy.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back.
And the phone at the same time. You know, what happens is when you have an earpiece in and it connects to your phone, the earpiece will automatically lower, so you know, that loudness don't fuck your ear up. You know what I mean?
Let me go ahead and get to Original. We'll come back to you, Tammy. Original, go ahead, unmute your mic.
Okay. Yeah. What I want to say is, okay, Mr. Engagement. I think what happened is, see, I was watching that the shooting in Monterey Park when it went, you know, when the news started reported. I think it might have been CNN that was on. Now, what's interesting is this: when they was first showing those images of the people on those gurneys being, you know, placed into the ambulance to take to the hospital, they had their faces blurred out so you couldn't see who they were. And they had I guess they had you know, sheets or whatever over the people, put them in, so you couldn't see their skin, you couldn't see anything about these, you couldn't see their hair. And it's like they were trying to cover it up that it was an Asian that did this. Now, I can't think of her name, but she's a congressperson for that area. They were speaking. When they did the what do they call it? Whatever they call it, I can't think of the word now. When they speak, when they come out and do the
Press, please.
Yeah, press conference. So they came out there. They was trying to say, even though it was an Asian that did this, they were still trying to say that they could say it was a hate crime because they're trying to push this Asian hate. And so, see, I'm gonna tell y'all, the universe is working with us right now. We better take advantage of it. Because as soon as they started doing that, what happened? They had another shooting in Northern California, and it was another crazy Asian that did it. See, I mean, the universe is letting us know it's with us, and we just have to, you know, do what we got to do to make it work for us. But they they was trying to say it was a hate crime, but they see that it's not a hate crime. And when that second one happened, they started to slide off even more with it because it was gonna make them look even more stupid than what they was already looking. So yeah, unless you have something that I don't know about, but from what I've seen, and this cannot be a hate crime because this is Asian on Asian violence. And the one in Northern California, up in Moon Bay, there was some Spanish-speaking people up there. So, but even people were saying that was just work-related violence. So I don't think they will be able to make it to make that a hate crime. And one of the things too I want to drop about the HBCUs. Now I had someone to get very angry with me. I called into this radio station here in Atlanta. It was years ago, and I said that it costs less to go to Georgia Tech. And I pulled it up on on the computer. It costs less to go to Georgia Tech is a state school, but it costs less to go to Georgia Tech than it does to go to like Morehouse. And this guy, he was pushing HBCUs because the place where I work, and they graduated now, but it was two interns that we had. Both of them were from Georgia Tech. One was a mechanical engineering student, and the other was a industrial engineering student. And both of them said, because I talked to them, I was trying to have a conversation with the children that come through. But I talked to them, they said, they said they both wanted to go to Morehouse. But then what they found out is that, and they were going, to be engineers. But what they found out was that all of their engineering courses was going to have to be taken at Georgia Tech. So what they did, they made an assessment and they looked at how much it was going to cost to go to Morehouse versus Georgia Tech. So they decided to go to Georgia Tech because they didn't want to end up paying all that money going to Morehouse, and they were going to have to take their core courses at Georgia Tech. So that's like an issue too with some of these schools, whereby depending on your major and depending on the school, you may have to take your major courses at another school. And I'll land with that.
All right, Miss T, you got it. Go ahead, unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, I was going to ask, who was the young lady that was speaking? Was that Miss California?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. I really appreciated you bringing that information forward because I would rather have the school to close or to have class at another location while they take care of the problem that they need to take care of. We do live in a southern climate. When it's wet, then the sun comes and the heat, and that can produce an environment for mold and mildew to thrive. So we know that. Why are these educators or these leaders at this university not preparing for that? They should incorporate that into their budget. And again, it's an insurance claim. It's not even something that should be a budgetary issue to get it initially handled if it's an insurance claim. I don't understand. That's why I say I think we need an oversight committee. I think a lot of these schools I think they are misappropriating funds. I think they are stealing money at these HBCUs, and I just think that they are taking advantage of a situation. And we got to do something. This is serious. These are our babies. This is our future. I land my plane.
Amen.
All right, Mr. Engaging. Oh, Tammy, you want to go ahead and go now?
Yes, sir, I can.
Go ahead.
Let me say first, I think that hate enhancement crime
can be used on any crime, not just murder. And with the HBCUs misappropriating funds, all of these schools do. I posted in the Jumbotron the endowments of some other schools in the billions. And what's the school we were talking about? Morris Brown? Which school was we talking about? Bethune. Their endowment is $47 million. But I will say this: every organization, nonprofit that receives federal funds need to have oversight. This money is going out the door and it's not reaching who is earmarked to reach. And it has to stop. Money all over the place being misappropriated. It is just outrageous and egregious. The other point I wanted to make was Mr. Engaging. They could probably get a hate crime, but it's not hate, it's culture. It's police culture. I don't think that they attacked that man because he was black. They attacked him because they felt like he was disrespectful. And it was police culture. They need to create some type of crime bill for that type of enhancement with the police. They run around here killing folks. And we ain't
They need to get rid of that. They need to get rid of that blue flag. That blue line thing. That, to me, if you are serving in any public service under oath and you represent the United States, you should not be able to create no blue line and blue flag or whatever, because that goes against the Constitution that you're supposed to be upholding.
It is an extension of chattel slavery. We just rolled on into it, and the Department of Justice is not doing nearly enough to hold any of these police stations accountable. They can't investigate themselves, haven't we learned? I don't know what's going on with America, but now that we have woke up and start paying attention, they in trouble. They can't hide stuff no more. They can't roll it under the carpet because your slip is showing, and we see it. And we calling it out, and we're not scared to.
Real quick, let me give a shout out to Dana. I see her up in the space as well too. Real Dana, if you guys on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to her YouTube channel. Definitely give her some support. So shout out to you, Dana. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna kick it to Mr. Engaging, and I'm gonna kick it to Professor. We're not gonna keep the space open much longer. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down by 10 o'clock. So let me go ahead, Mr. Engaging, and Tammy, real quick. I believe all these universities misappropriate money. The only thing is that the white ones know how to put the money back in place in time, and the black ones are too stupid to go ahead and put it back. So they're the ones who always get busted and caught. But they know how
to do it better.
Yeah, because they used to embezzling funds and having these tax brackets and these offshore accounts and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the black ones, they just don't know how to put the damn money back in time when it's time for the kids to get their financial aid. So that causes a big ruckus right there. But they all, because you had up here a few years ago, you had one of the Florida State boosters and stuff like that, and the booster program was taking money and stuff like that as well too. So they all skim off the top, but they just know how to put it back in place.
So look up Diana Morris at Tennessee State University. She resigned as part of. She was doing something in financial services, and she resigned because she said that the officials at Tennessee State University asked her to change numbers. She took so much courage doing that, but that's what we're talking about. We know they doing it, and how is there no whistleblowers? You know, people need to be telling this stuff, but they don't care. You would rather put that extra stress on students and take double pay from the taxpayers. I'm tired of doing all this.
Real talk. Mr. Engaging, you got to go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, well, the reason why I said that it should be a hate crime bill or they should be charged for hate, because like I look at that they target that black man and the guys, if they felt like he didn't have enough resources to combat the issue, or they felt like that and they felt that they could take advantage of him because he was black. They wouldn't been able to do that to a white suspect the way that they harassed and roughed that guy up. So that's the reason why I say it's a hate crime. And just because the individual is black doesn't mean that they're exempt from having hate towards another specific group of people, especially a group of people who are being targeted from other hate situations. And I think that we need to be more vigilant on people who have hate towards Black American people, even if it's our own people.
But you know what? I don't think that they were. I mean, Black people rarely do stuff because of hate against other Black people. But I understand definitely what you're saying. After George Floyd's killer was enhanced by the hate crime, how much time is put on the enhancement of hate crime?
I think it's like another 5 to 10 years additional, or depending on the heinousness of the crime. But they do tack that on. And sometimes I don't know if they serve it consecutively or if it's retroactive, where they serve it together.
They need to serve that on the back end.
It's 10 years, and the hate crime legislation, y'all, is federal. If you notice, they had another trial for those police officers. That's a federal enhancement. So I want y'all to understand that is not going to be just put on any crime. It can be used in cases of murder. It can be used in cases of people targeting you at a church or something like that. But they don't usually use that hate crime legislation on everything. They kind of pick and choose what they want to use it on. That's what I was trying to say earlier, Tammy. So just understand the way this system is set up. They don't use that hate crime legislation on everything. Even though we know it's hate, they would use it for whatever they want to use it for. There you go.
The reason why I was suggesting that, because it opens up the door for us to combat other elements in our Black community that's anti-Black American, or that's anti-Black, meaning against the family, like from some gangs that are out here targeting our youth and children, etc. I really think that some elements in our community do need to be addressed as hate, as no different from a white supremacist, because sometimes they're emboldened by white supremacy. Sometimes they're getting their resources from white supremacy. So yeah, I look at those officers as an extension of white supremacy. Even if their actions might not seem like it's hateful, it is hateful. And they did target that Black man. And they should be held accountable as if they're white supremacists, because they used their position of authority to undermine a Black American. And that's not hate. Then I don't know what is, my friend.
And guess who has the authority to use the discretion for that type of hate crime enhancement? It's going to usually be a white prosecutor who's going to have that decision. And he's probably not going to do it.
And not only that, like I said, it's going to open up a Pandora's box where you're going to start trying police officers on hate crime. They already have a hard enough time getting them convictions and stuff like that too. So now you're going to start adding it where police officers are going to be charged for hate crimes as well too. And not only that, to be honest, you have a bunch of Black people that be pissed off if the first ever police officer was charged for a hate crime just so happened to be Black. Let's be honest here.
Can I answer that? I want to address that. Just because that person's Black doesn't mean he's in the interest of he or she's in the interest of the Black community.
I never said that person was in the interest of the Black community. What I'm saying is that you've had all these Black people over the years getting killed, getting murdered, getting their head beat in, and this and that, and all of a sudden, as long as the hate crime has been around since 1999 or whatever, all of a sudden we're going to start charging police officers with hate crimes. And guess what? All of a sudden, guess who's going to be the first people to actually get hit with the hate crime? Yes, these people deserve to go to jail for what they did to this man right here. But I'm saying that there's no way they're going to do that because it's going to open up a Pandora box. They don't want to get rid of the qualified immunity, yet they're going to go ahead and start charging police officers for hate crimes. Especially a police officer of 5 Black guys that just killed another Black dude. They're gonna charge him for it.
Right. And I actually wanted to point out something because I was looking up the information for the Asian hate crime. So the community is actually calling for it to be a hate crime, but they're not actually the detectives have not actually issued a charge. Plus the one guy, the lunar attack, because remember there were 2. The lunar attack guy, He killed himself. But then there was another recent attack, and so the community is calling for it to be anti-Asian hate, but they're not specifying, if it will be defined as anti-Asian hate because it's a Asian on Asian crime. So again, the charges have not come down just yet.
But Queen, just because it's an Asian or Asian crime, don't mean that there's other Asians that have Asian beef. The same way that we have
I got that. I'm clear on that. I'm just saying. I was just reading what the detectives had issued, and they're still actually trying to uncover the motive, even though the community is calling for, like you said, if we call for anti-Black American hate crime bill or American descendant bill, whatever, or anti-hate bill for us. Now you're talking about having a bill that just covers a plethora of things, which is, I think, what they're trying to do, or what they've been successfully able to do, and get one bill that covers a multitude of things so that they don't have to actually define what is considered anti-Asian hate, because they can just call it everything anti-Asian hate. Hell, me just saying Asian could be considered anti-Asian hate.
And that was more or less what I was trying to hint towards, like as a group. And I thank you, sister, for kind of pushing the group towards that direction. I think it's something that we should be calling out. If there's a dangerous element in our community, that's taking our children, that's out here shooting our children, that's anti-Black. That's hate at the end of the day. You're targeting anybody and killing somebody. That's hate. I'm gonna sum it up simple.
But that's not the point of the hate crime bill. The point of the hate crime bill is I don't.
No, their Asian hate crime bill actually covers a multitude of things.
Every crime, if there's a murder or somebody gets killed, it's automatically hate, in his opinion. And I was just saying that's not the.
Being a thug or a criminal doesn't mean that you. I mean, there's a lot of black guys that kill black people out there. They're not killing them. Oh, I see me a black dude out there, I'm gonna go ahead and blow his brains out because he's black. No, they just sitting out there simply because they're criminals that they want to kill somebody or rob them or something.
Right, but all I'm saying is listen to what. Let me slow it down. The Asian community collectively has successfully been able to get a bill that covers the term anti-Asian hate, and the language under that bill, they're using that to want to claim what happened with the nightclub shooting as specifically anti-Asian hate, right? They're not even talking about what you said, Newstoter, where we need a bill. What Mr. Engagement was saying, that we need a bill for just a straight black anti-Black
I wouldn't say in a bill. I didn't say a bill. I just say that we just need to call it out as a hate crime. Just any incident like that.
But I think that's where the nuance. That's where the nuance comes in, because if we don't have a bill that we can call out, then regular hate crimes only specifically are mandated to what they considered to be a hate crime based on what race, religion, blah, the standard things. The Asians were successfully able to get away from the basic and actually have a specific bill that actually covers ethnicities of Asians under one bill. We don't have that. And I get what Mr. Engagement says on that level, but Professor is also correct, and Newstoter, that they're not going, there's no bill right now to actually uphold in law for us to be like, if somebody committed the crime like those 4 police officers, that we can prove it was hate. We would actually have to have a bill that would cover.
But Queen, what happened was they didn't even care if it was hate. They just said it was, and then let the crowd of court opinion decide. That's what I was more or less. That was more or less what I was getting at. Just beat that damn drum, and say that this is a hate crime bill until the drumstick break.
But you notice how they don't beat. But you notice how
let me just cut it short, right? Let me just cut it short right here. They're not gonna charge those cops for a hate crime on killing this black dude. Just straight up. They're not gonna charge those 5 black cops, 4, 5, how many of them, and say that, hey, that.
But nobody in our community is not an outcry in our community saying.
So then Mr. Engagement, every time you have a black person kill another black person, they talk about black on black crime, and they're gonna talk about that's a hate crime too as well. It's gonna get to that point. Every time you see black on,
we already there, Newstoter. We already there because the agents set the precedents right now. They literally have a bill that they're using for these mass shootings that was done by other agents on agents.
And now we can go after different sets of immigrants that are targeting us, like black immigrants hypothetically. See, like that's the reason why I'm saying the things that I'm saying here, because one event leads to another, one victory leads to another. But I'm just the guy
engagement in the bill. The bill would probably just cover like prejudice acts or something like that. Like it has to be real specific in the bill. Because I think that what you're saying,
I'm saying that our actions, us highlighting, will define what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying I understand that, but I'm also literally stating that in a bill such as what you're stating that we need to see. In the bill, it would have to cover like prejudice behaviors, or if it's a crime, black on black crime type situation, then you would have to define how to measure hate from another person on another the same race. You're gonna have
let's start off with just death. Let's start off with death right there. That's hate right there. This man died as a result of that.
I get that, but you know how bills. But I understand that, but I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to know that bills.
Race though, bro. They don't mean that.
So did they come up to him and say, "Hey, let me put a bullet in this nigga head. Let me kill this coon here today"?
Yeah, show me the audio, the tape, and the visuals and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? Well, we already know they showing the brother hate because they beat him to death. You feel what I'm saying? But did they beat him to death?
The language, right? So the language would have to substantiate the actions, which is what I'm trying to get Mr. Engagement to understand. If you are killing somebody, the language would have to be, what is it? What is it, Professor?
None of that.
No, you can't use that. It has to be. It would have to be like depraved. It would have to be like depraved indifference or something like negligence or whatever, and that would have to come.
Okay.
Real quick, because I know everybody's kind of going here, going there. Let me go ahead and get the Black Native as well, because she's got her hand up. So, like I said, the space ain't gonna go on much longer. We're gonna be shutting it down in just a second. So let me go ahead and get the last few. I'll go Black Native, Professor, and Mr. Engaging. I'll go ahead and get to you. Real quick, but we're gonna go ahead and keep the actual comments pretty short, y'all, because I want to close it out at 10. So we're gonna go ahead and close it out in a second. Black Native, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, Ray, DJ, peace to the room. Now, what Mr. Engagement is saying, you remember the African man that just shot 3 Black Americans, and he said that he hated Black people. Wouldn't that be classified?
Yes.
Because I don't know, that just happened yes, it would, because
hold on a second. Not to mute you. Y'all phones is janky. You and Mr. Gage, you're gonna have a baby phone. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the answer will be no on that, for the simple fact the answer is no, because it's allegedly. You feel what I'm saying? They saying that what he said. They're saying that's what he said, but that's still allegedly. It's your word against key eyewitnesses, police, whatever. You know what I mean? The actual victims that he shot. One I believe is still alive. One passed away. Other thing is too. Nobody.
He said.
Hold on, bro. Hold your thoughts. Nobody even know what this dude looked like. Still, his name Mamadou. So think about that.
He was a black man. I believe they showed his picture, and he did say
Do you know what he looks like?
Yes, I believe they showed his picture. He's a black man.
So they finally showed the picture.
Yes, he's an African man, and he said that.
Put it in the double.
Okay, well I can't find it right now, but it's up there. Go to YouTube. But he said that he hated Black people. So just like, I mean, these police with these, it was actually 3 shootings within a 48-hour time span. It was 3 different Asian people that shot other Asian people. Nobody was around. The police wasn't around. The Asian community is trying to say it's a hate crime. And we all know that they got the hate crime off the backs of Black people lying on us. So, but what I'm saying is you had a foreign Black from another country come to America and say he hated Black people. Why would that not be classified as a hate crime?
And he told that to the police.
Hold on, Mr. Engaging. Hold on real quick. Because like I said, we're going to be closing the space. I'm going to get the professor, and then I'm going to get to you. Go ahead, Professor. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. The whole thing with this hate crime, everybody, is you would have to have language, as Sister Rilla was saying. It would have to be some language in there, such as depraved indifference. If we want to get a anti-Black hate crime bill, we would have to put specific type language in there, such as what Black Native was just talking about with the immigrant up in Washington State that did the shootings, saying that he hated Black people, right? So we would have to put something in there specific for that, being targeted specifically for the fact that we are Black Americans. See, because he said, what did he say? He said, the Blacks here in America are always killing each other. That's why I hate them. So we would put that language in that bill. Being targeted for being a Black American. That's what you want in there. So if one of these non-LPAs come into the country ready to shoot us, we're going to get him for hate crime. See? You have to have specifics in your bill, like what these Asians did for their bill. And now, how are we going to do that? We got to get us a great attorney that can set this stuff up so we can take it to the courts. That's why we need a Johnny Cochran. And I hate to keep bringing his name up, brother. Rest in peace.
I'm Juanita Cochran.
But
How about we?
Hold on, one person at a time, y'all, real quick. And then I'll get back to you, Black Native. Go ahead, Professor. Let Professor go ahead and finish his point so we can go ahead and move it around the room and get ready to close it out. Go ahead, Professor.
All right, y'all. But yes, we need to get us a great attorney so we can start setting some things up in play, such as this anti-Black hate crime bill. We need to find somebody as quickly as possible because we got a lot of stuff on our plate. I land my plane there.
Okay, real quick, Black Native, and then I'm going to kick it to Mr. Engaging.
How about we look at the hate crime bill, which you're claiming is not a hate crime bill, but it actually is. How about we study the hate crime bill that the Asian community seemed to get passed, use kind of the same verbiage, but only put Black Americans in there? I mean, how about that?
Why won't we accept the James Burke?
Real quick, Tammy. Don't unmute your mic, y'all. We're going to be closing the space out.
Okay, I was going to say, as you close the space out, look into subscriptions for YouTube, because I give monthly to a couple of them, so it's a way to do it on there.
Okay, definitely, I'll do that. Let me go ahead. Black Native, you had anything else you wanted to add before we move it?
Yeah, I was just saying, how about we just look at the hate crime bill that they got passed?
And it
but substituted from Asians to Black Americans. If they got it passed specifically for Asians and South Pacific Islanders, we can take that same verbiage and put some of the information for ourselves. I'm just saying, that's just a thought.
Real talk.
Why won't we accept the James Burke hate bill?
Okay, y'all. I feel like I'm talking to myself here. We are finna close the space out. So I'm gonna let Mr. Engaging say something. Please, we're gonna close the space out. I intended to close it out at 10. We're gonna be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, y'all. But I have a few things I need to go ahead and tidy up on. So we're gonna close the space out. Mr. Engaging, I'm gonna give you a minute to go ahead and make your point. And then we're going to close the space out for the night. So any speakers we don't get to after Mr. Engaging, y'all come back tomorrow and we will get to y'all. Go ahead, Mr. Engaging. You got a minute.
Black Native, that was very funny that you said that you were looking at the bill and substituted. I was actually doing that later prior to throughout the day. That was one of the things I was actually looking at. Second thing that I was also looking at is that we need to look at those officers' cell phones. A lot of these officers have been committing crimes, as in like sending pictures or anti-Black conversations about how they're going to target Black American people. So I'm very curious to see what's on these cops' cell phones and how they are communicating with each other before and after that ordeal. That will probably give me more context of how much of a hate crime these guys really are rolling in. And I really think that we should add that to the bill as one of the stipulations to make sure that they have to surrender over their intellectual property, such as their cell phones and laptops and all that crap. I think that we need to dump the technology. And we got to see what's underneath those keyboards, if you get what I mean. So with that being said, those are some of the things I really strongly suggest in the future onto that hate crime bill, and just switching it out from Asian to to Black, because we're the original people who get persecuted for hate.
All right.
Not these Asian people that are crying about COVID-19, something that they probably caused. But anyways, that's here no there. But that's just my take on the situation.
All right. Appreciate that, Mr. Engaging. Ray, DJ, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm muting it so nobody else are gonna speak tonight. Y'all go ahead and say what you gotta say, and then we're gonna go ahead and close the space out for the night.
Hey, let me say this real quick. So, Black Native, this dude, Mamadou Diallo, nobody know what he looked like. Still to this day, I've been on this for a while, and the only thing that thing still says is that he's not yet been although a clear motive has not yet been identified. Newly obtained court documents revealed that the suspect, identified as 32-year-old Mamadou Diallo, made statements to detectives that he does not like Black people, and all the victims were Black men. The King County Sheriff's Office super form submitted to prosecutors list Diallo as a Black man living in SeaTac. So how you gonna have a Black hate crime bill against somebody else that's identifies as Black? You know what I'm saying? So the problem is our terminology, y'all. You know what I mean? These Africans or tether gang could come over here and say they Black. They take advantage of things like the Martin Luther King bills for Black Americans that's part of affirmative action to say, oh yeah, well, I'm African American. Why can't I get the MLK scholarship? You know what I'm saying? Why can't I get the James Brown musical scholarship? You know what I'm saying? I'm Black, right? So that's what he's saying in this picture. But he's saying that, they're saying allegedly, keyword, that he said that I shot these people because I hate Black Americans. See that? So he already done stated that he's different from us. So why is it that right there, that's not a hate crime? See, if you catch the wording, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Unlock, the book allegedly.com. You catch the wording, you could him these motherfuckers up on their own shit. You know what I mean? But go ahead, bro.
I'm good, man. Great conversation tonight. We'll catch you guys on the next one. See you tomorrow.
All right, y'all. We will see y'all tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you to all of the speakers, the co-hosts, the listeners, everybody who tweeted out the space tonight. Thank you, Mr. Engaging, for your contribution on Cash App as well, too. So you guys check us out tomorrow night. We're going to have a Q&A with Gabe Piedmont. That's going to be going out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys want to have a comment that you want to say, go ahead in the comment section and go ahead and if you have a question, I should say, I'm sorry, go ahead and put your question in the actual comment section. We will go ahead. If we have time, we already have some questions, prearranged questions. We're going to go ahead and ask them. So if you guys, we have time, we'll go ahead and get to the questions. We're going to try to go ahead and keep order. I know how things have been with some of the spaces and stuff like that. So we're going to definitely try to keep order tomorrow. So definitely expect to see you guys in there. DJ, you got your hand up. You want to say something real quick?
Yeah, just on this Diallo guy. So again, throughout the interview, detectives, throughout the interview with detectives, Diallo stated multiple times that he does not like Black people. He stated that he does not like spending time with Black people because they're always killing each other. He denied shooting anyone. So the real narrative is, even if he denies shooting somebody, they got this dude. So why ain't you trying to press some type of charges, fingerprint him, photograph him, and put his information out there? Because he says he's saying the so-called suspect has denied shooting anybody. So like, I believe they did catch a gun on this dude, but he said that he bought the gun only a couple days ago. So did they test it for fingerprints? Did it gun residue? See, this is shit we ain't understanding. And then you're dealing with a demographic of the crackers out there in Washington. They not going to pursue this case as a hate crime bill against Black Americans because this dude says he's Black, even though he may have potentially or allegedly shot Black people, Black Americans specifically. But go ahead, though. And I think it's a false flag because of that. I think this shit is a false flag to get a race war started. So there you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, on that note, we're going to go ahead and we're going to call it a night, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody be safe, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. So have a good night.
Peace.